Well, so today's question comes in from Gan, Gan Power, who it's not GP Fitness anymore. It's I can't remember what he calls it now. Down in Tremor and Waterford. He's an old mate of mine. I've known Gan for years, and Gan asked me because I mentioned on Facebook that the Fighting Back ebook I wrote has just turned 10 years old. He asked, if I updated it, would I change anything? And lovely question. Lovely question, because I'm not the coach I was 10 years ago. And anybody who's in this industry, do you know what? Anybody who's in any industry, if you look back at the work you were doing 10 years ago and you don't look at it and go, that could be better, then you probably haven't developed yourself. You probably haven't improved what you're doing. So we should all be developing all the time. Your thought process should be growing with you. So the Fighting Back book, it came about. I was chatting with I think it was Seb, who's at the time he was a BJJ player I was helping up. He's a lot more than that now. And he just asked me, Dave, why do all the BJJ lads, they're always complaining about back pain? Now, low back pain is one of the more complicated, we'll say, topics in the pain world, the rehab world. And what I mean by that is there are so many potential factors. Maybe I can even put an image up in this corner here of just so you can see how many factors can be involved. It's rarely just one thing. When I was writing Fighting Back, I was kind of at the start of my journey into anatomy and motion and really becoming a rehabber as opposed to just a strength conditioning coach. I don't know whether I'd completed the anatomy and motion training as yet, but I know there's stuff I left out because basically the AAM guys, they didn't think it was. I wanted to add anatomy motion information to it, but I was still new to them. They were still developing their brand, so we thought best not to. So there is actually a whole chapter missing from the book. Would I be able to add it in now? Probably, because I've integrated anatomy motion so much into my work that they're almost inseparable. And the way I present the information isn't as it was presented to me. So that's probably the first thing I'd add. Maybe adding a little bit more about biomechanics and the body. Maybe add a little bit more about pain and what pain is and some of the elements of pain. This whole biopsychosocial idea of, hopefully familiar with biopsychosocial. So bio, that's obviously the body, the biology of the body. Psycho is the psychology, what you think. Social is the sociology, is the social circle, the people around you. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu provides you with a great social environment. Now, club to club to club, it varies, but depending on the bio you bring into the club, does it fit with the social of said club? As in, take me for example, I'm a 47-year-old bloke. Yeah, I'm fairly fit and I'm pretty strong, but I've 47 years, most of which was spent running mountains, doing martial arts, lifting weights, being a crash test dummy. I've got a smashed ankle, I've got several back injuries, I've got 2 or 3 injuries in this shoulder that are significant. And I do remember how I felt at the top of my game in my much more striking martial art based. But if I took my biology as a 47-year-old dude people would look at me and go, he's a big, strong guy. Let's go hard. And I'd be going, So do you fit the club? Biopsychosocial, they're interweaving, interlapping. So is your body as capable as you perceive it to be? So your psychology and biology, do they match up? You go into the social club of the social circle in the club. Is that going to be a real hard training atmosphere? Are they going to push you too hard? Are they going to be a little bit easier on you? What's the age profile in the club? Am I going to be 47 years old and I'm going to be surrounded by 21-year-olds with energy to spare, and they don't have the mileage I have? You just don't know. You just don't know. But you have to try and make it add up. So BJJ and back pain, they are kind of synonymous. And what we broke it down to in the book was very biomechanical in nature, because that was the easiest way to deal with it. But there is more to it. And if I rewrote the book, I'd probably explain that as well. Now, the bio part of it is, without question, in a physical environment, is without question one of the easiest, or the lowest hanging fruits to develop, to get you out of pain, to stop pain. So why do we think pain's happening? We can liken it to an over patterning, if you like. We're really strengthening and developing certain movements, certain loading patterns. And it's this fetal curled up position is where jiu-jitsu kind of lives. Strengthening the front of the body, we'll say. And you see the physiques on jiu-jitsu players. Very quickly they get the beautiful beach body physiques, but very underdeveloped in the legs. Because you're on your back, you're curled up, hips are flexed. Basically, as I'm sitting in this chair right now, if this chair fell backwards and I remained in this position, I would be in a very typical jiu-jitsu type position. Hips are flexed, spine's rounded, shoulders a little bit forward because I'm relaxed in my chair. Do you know what I mean? Even the head's a little bit forward. This is where a lot of it goes on. This is passive. If I go on my back and I'm engaged in the sport, that is now active. That's the real difference. So are we strengthening the same muscles that are short right now as I sit in the chair? I believe so. So developing strength in the extension muscles, the upper back, the hips especially. Build legs. A lot of jiu-jitsu guys, they don't do any sort of real leg work, and that's a real shame. Build legs. And that'll go a long way to mitigating the stresses of the sport. And if the back pain is related to the stress of the sport, you counter it by deadlifts, kettlebell swings, inverted rows, getting some scapular retraction, getting some spine extension, getting some glute hamstring work. It's not rocket science. Mobility. There's a huge mobility aspect in jiu-jitsu. So, and strangely enough, when I get people on their feet and moving around, I've noticed jiu-jitsu guys have horrendous mobility on their feet. And for hip mobility, I was talking to it's a few years ago now, I was talking to, name escapes me. He is a jiu-jitsu coach and also a very well-respected strength and conditioning guy. And his name is Gan. Can't think of it. We both agreed that hip mobility is best worked in a closed chain environment. That means your feet are on the ground and you're moving your body around. And that for mobility, control of the hips, that seems to develop the hips faster. Then you can do your open chain stuff where you lie on the ground and you lift your feet, you're moving your feet around. The open chain stuff seems to only improve open chain mobility. The closed chain stuff seems to improve total mobility and makes the open chain stuff way, way easier. That is purely anecdotal. That is what I have observed. And I've had it corroborated by one other dude who is also anecdotal, and that is what he has observed. It's really interesting. So, in terms of my work, you can go on to, well, you're on YouTube already. You go to my YouTube playlists. I haven't figured out how to add playlists to these videos yet. I'll have to do that. But you go to the 100 rep warm-up examples, and that should be your warm-up. That could even be a conditioning session, a workout in itself. They're lovely little short little sessions, 10 minutes, but you can do them for multiple rounds to fill half an hour if you want, or an hour if you really want to. And those 100 rep warm-ups have developed, especially the more recent ones, they developed to become an answer to the most common pain and injury issues I see. And mobility increases in everybody who partakes in them. Sounds like a bit of a brag. It is, but it's also true. What else? Energy system work. There's nothing in the book about energy systems, which if you look at the WMD manual, that is really all about energy systems. Now, you've three. Excuse me a sec, that actually needs doing straight away. You've three main energy systems in the body: anaerobic, aerobic, and this muddy one in the middle, which can be your CP, ATP, or your glycolytic, or your alactic, or whatever name we're using currently. But I think it also, because anaerobic is at one end of the scale and aerobic is the other end of the scale, and the middle one is very much a greyish area depending on which end of the scale you're moving towards. I would make the point, if I was rewriting Fighting Back, I would make the point that the two ends are where most of your gains are going to come. This middle ground gives you sort of 10 to maybe 15 minutes of high energy output. And if you look at the training protocols for it, it's a very intense short session with quite an extended rest period. And you're going to cover that a lot in your actual training. In fact, the aerobic end, you're going to cover quite a lot in your actual training. The anaerobic is where a lot of benefit is going to come. So basically getting brutally strong is what we're talking about. Sprints, jumps, plyometrics, big lifts, big heavy lifts. Do that, you're probably going to be all right. The conditioning will start to come simply through practicing the sport. If you want to do anything extra, get out on the bike for, set up a Peloton at home or whatever stationary bike at home and just spin those pedals for an hour or more. Stick on a movie, spin the pedals while you watch a movie. That is aerobic development. That will be, and why do I say on the bike? It's so it gives you the least amount of damage to the body. If you're not running, you've got that impact. And if you're not a good runner, if you're not very efficient and you're smooth in your running, there's a lot of you don't need it. You get enough of that in the sport. one of the beautiful things about jiu-jitsu is it's a relatively low impact sport. Go and do a judo class and you'd be slammed into the earth. Go and do a kickboxing class and you're slamming into the bags and the pads. You're getting hit in the head. But jiu-jitsu is relatively low impact, which is, I think, one of the things that's made it so popular. Why would you then go out and smash yourself up doing supplemental training? No need. So, heavy lifting once, maybe twice a week. Aerobic, soft work once, maybe twice a week. That'll do you. That'll do you. You can even do your strength work after your jiu-jitsu session. Finish your jiu-jitsu training. Chow down on something real easy to digest. Hit the weights. Yeah, you're not going to make the same gains as you would if you were fresh, but it will tip you over. It will keep you. You will make progress. You will make gains. You're not lifting for the sake of lifting. You're lifting to be better at your sport, to remain healthier and stronger for your sport. So you don't need to be focusing on massive gains. You're not a powerlifter. You're not a bodybuilder. Not a CrossFit athlete. You're a jiu-jitsu player. So, yeah, if I was to rewrite Fighting Back, there's actually, geez, there's probably more there than I expected. There's what I've just told you is more than on the blog post that I actually sent out originally, which is cool. That's why I like talking. That's why I like doing these videos. And if you like these videos, subscribe to the bloody things. Drop a comment and tell me that you like these videos. What I'm going to do in the comments as well is I'm going to put a link to how you can work with me through the Train Heroic app. The Fighting Back program, is it on there? I don't know if it's on there. There are jiu-jitsu focused programs on there. One of which I give out to a lot of people because it's a fantastic program. It's a lovely peaking type program. There's another one that I created for a lady who she did that for about 6 or 8 months, and then we swapped her off to a peaking program, which I have not publicized because that was just for her. And that helped her get the World Championship result that she got, which was pretty cool. But yeah, I'll send you. I'll put a link to the Train Heroic app and all the programs there in the description. And also, if you're interested in the Fighting Back book, it's a good book. It's a good book, even if I do say so to myself. Put that in the description too. And if you have a question, if you have a comment, if you've got something you want to ask me, something you want me to talk about, let me know. Drop me a comment. Drop me an email. And we'll be back to you next week, I hope. Alrighty? Chat soon.